Bob is life. I mean, he's bigger than life. I mean, he just walks in and you know that he's there. I mean, that is my impression of Bob. He's very outgoing, and he's got a very, very good sense of humor, and he's always smiling.
As a child in Charleston, Illinois, Bob Sonderman loved to explore the creek beds and cornfields around his home.
If you know anything about cornfields in the Midwest along creek beds, they are loaded with Native American artifacts. So I grew up running around playing in the dirt as a little guy. So it comes pretty naturally that I became an archaeologist.
Bob attended Illinois State University, receiving a bachelor's and graduate degree in anthropology. There, he mentored under Edward Jelks, a preeminent historical archaeologist.
He's been the principal sort of archaeological hero for me. He's still my mentor. He's 95 years old. He still writes in archaeological journals, and I still visit him when I can.
Bob worked his way east with jobs in West Texas, Mississippi, Alabama, and Garrett County, Maryland. Eventually, he moved to Maryland's capital and began working for Historic Annapolis, an advocacy group dedicated to protecting the city's architectural heritage.
And while I was digging a hole, I was in the bottom of a well in Annapolis, and this man walked up to the edge of the well, and he leaned down and he said, "Is your name Bob Sonderman?" I said, "Yes." And he says, "Well, my name is Dr. Stephen Potter. When you get finished, I'd like to chat with you about working for the National Park Service."
Also, while living in Annapolis, Bob often attended church musical concerts in D.C. One day, at St. James Episcopal Church on Capitol Hill, he met a singer.
My wife and I met, and we fell in love, and that was the other reason why it was great that I could come to D.C.
He started as an archaeological technician, and over the next 25 years would work his way up to senior staff archaeologist and National Archaeological Collections Manager for the National Capital Region.
There's something compelling about the past, and an archaeologist is one of the people that can help unravel the mysteries of the past. And for an archaeologist like me, it can be a lot of fun. I like working outside, I like getting my hands dirty, and I like learning.
In 1992, Bob joined the Historic Preservation Review Board.
He was a great contributor to the board, and even though his area of expertise was small in relationship to the boards, not only did we learn about archaeology, but he was so fair-minded and so decent and so good with the people who came before him that he was a much greater than 1/9 of the board.
I think over the course of my first year on the board, as I got to know Bob, it dawned on me that there is this whole field in preservation, archaeology, that I really had never thought much about. And Bob, once he realized that, took it upon himself to educate me, which was a fabulous education as to the importance of archaeology and how it works and what archaeologists do.
Bob acted as an educator for his field, increasing the visibility of archaeology as an important preservation issue in cases brought before the HPRB.
How he helped people understand the benefits of archaeology, the pros of archaeology, and making it something positive, because I think archaeology can be seen sometimes as a negative, especially to a developer that's got to pay, that's got a time schedule.
As a resident of the Capitol Hill neighborhood, one of D.C.'s largest historic districts, Bob shared his enthusiasm for archaeology during meetings with the Capitol Hill Restoration Society.
Bob can get so excited about lots of things, and if it's the production of glass bottles in colonial America, he would be excited about it, and somehow he could convince the audience to be excited about it.
Bob served on the HPRB for 22 years, one of the longest tenures in the board's history.
Bob had a long tenure being on the board, but he also brought value to with his commentary and his guidance when he made a point. I had fun serving on the board, and Bob was part of it, just the conversation we could have. And he's a good guy to go have a beer with.
In 2010, Bob became regional curator and director of the National Park Service National Capital Region Museum Resource Center. There, he managed millions of objects in the collection that had both regional and national significance.
He's like a father to many people, and it's not because he's of some advanced age. It's just that he's got that, that father's authority. So that's what made him good in the role that he had in the Park Service, is that he got to know all the people that he needed to know who were involved in cultural resources and could be protective of those resources.
As a protector of cultural resources, Bob also joined the Museum Emergency Response Team, which deployed him to disaster areas to help with damage assessments and artifact preservation during storms like Hurricane Sandy, Isabel, Ivan, and Katrina.
It would have been very difficult to do my job when I first started here without Bob's encouragement and knowledge, because he has his finger in almost every pie. He had his ear to the ground. He knew all the development projects. He was on the Historic Preservation Review Board, and I got a lot of guidance from him.
Bob retired from the HPRB in 2014 and from the National Park Service in 2018. But he still stays involved by volunteering on various archaeological projects throughout the city.
Honestly, he's just as busy in retirement. It seems like he's just as busy in retirement as he was with the Park Service, and that just highlights his dedication and passion for the field.
As a retired guy, I sort of like being able to take an afternoon nap and not feel guilty about it. But on the other hand, it's nice to have things to do that you used to do regularly, that you still love to do, and have somebody thank you for doing it.
Through both his career and volunteerism, Bob's contributions have made an immeasurable impact on the fields of archaeology and historic preservation. He has been invaluable at promoting archaeology and history for the city of Washington, the greater region, and the country as a whole.
And because he's not just an archaeologist, he's also a preservationist writ large. He doesn't just talk about it, he lives it. And I think that's what made him such a valuable member of the board and of our preservation community here in the district.